Perfect. We're good?
Yep.
Great. Welcome to The Orbit. It's an ongoing interview series where we're interviewing online creative professionals. Today we have Kevin Wright of Wright Hand Twill. And do you want to start just by telling us what Wright Hand Twill is?
Well, I'm honored you'd call me a professional.
You do it.
Cheers.
Yeah, money is passing hands.
Money is passing hands. Wright Hand Twill was created as a concept of, or basically out of my love for natural dye stuffs and natural materials. So I studied textiles throughout college, which I did not finish, but Japanese kind of came in as a secondary aspect to that. And I really discovered there how the Japanese take indigo and other natural dyes and really form it into an art that I've never seen before.
Like jeans.
Like jeans.
Primarily. Like that's...
Taking very simple, basic items and just making them to the highest quality there possibly is. And that really is what intrigued me and what started everything.
Why were you studying textiles in college?
Well, I went to Japan as an exchange student back in 2005, and it was a cultural exchange. Have you ever seen Billy Madison?
No.
Oh, Billy Madison's great. So he goes through basically, I think it's 1 or 2 weeks of each grade, all the way up through college, or all the way up through high school until college, and has to pass every grade. We kind of did that. We did a week in every grade with a Japanese class to just experience everyday life and culture, all the way up through high school. And we had to do all sorts of different clubs and after-school activities. So anything from track and field to kendo to calligraphy and even, English language, which was fun. But it was there that I took a indigo dyeing class and just fell in love with everything.
That's interesting. That's very specific as far as indigo dyeing.
Yeah, it was very specific. And that's when I didn't realize at that time that the Japanese were doing jeans especially, and actually were one of the best in the world for making clothing.
Yeah. I
had always heard just like Italians or maybe Germans, but the Japanese were kind of secretly doing everything the best.
Especially, I think it's worth talking about denim for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because the Japanese reportedly make the best denim in the world.
Yeah, reportedly.
And you know about this because you worked at a denim retail front here in Seattle.
About 5 years, yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, the shop was called, they're still around today. They're called Blue Owl Workshop. And I was lucky enough to be the first employee. I was actually in school. I had gone back to school to study Japanese specifically. And my whole plan was to get a job in Japan teaching English and kind of schmooze my way into one of these Japanese companies, denim companies, and work for them. There was the retailer here in Seattle, and he was running his store out of his condo in Bellevue. And him and I had been in contact for a few years. I was buying jeans from him because he was selling Japanese denim exclusively. And so when him and I kind of hooked up, and one thing led to another, and he offered me a job. So I moved up from Oregon to Seattle, took the job, and we grew the company pretty big.
Yeah. We
grew it out of his condo into a storefront, doubled the storefront space, and now they're in a whole new location because it's been growing exponentially.
When did Wright Hand Twill start?
Wright Hand Twill started out of the opposite direction that I felt Blue Owl was going in.
Mm-hmm.
I felt sort of the core mission of everything being made as possibly good as it could for the best price it could was starting to go away.
Right, they were changing their focus of the store.
Yeah, and a big thing that started it was my old boss sat me down and said, "Kevin, I really don't want to be known as a denim store." It's like, what do you think we've been doing the last 5 years? Right?
But you're known as a denim store.
But we were known as a denim store. I don't know if they are anymore. I think they're, like I said, they've been going a different route. So I really wanted to scale back and focus on why I fell in love with the denim in the first place, and that was the textile aspect of it and the dyeing aspect of it. And really just the whole personalization that comes in with raw denim. The fact that you wear it, it's so stiff and hard and full of starch, and just a really dark indigo color. You wear it as much as possible, beat it up, and it molds to your body.
Right, it's a project.
Exactly, it's a project, and every crease that your body forms into it washes out through just natural abrasion. So the indigo comes out of the cotton, which develops the fading pattern.
Right.
So you have a pair of jeans that fits your body absolutely perfect, and all the fades match up to every crease as they should, as opposed to some model where they just pre-distress it and
I've seen
take the
those.
life out of it.
So how did you open the shop?
Well, I started online, and the shop kind of came a little prematurely, if I had to honestly say. I wanted to really focus on, like I said, the dyeing aspect of it and sort of the projects. So like boro patchwork, sashiko stitching, the dyeing, the hemming, the alterations. That's kind of what I really wanted to focus on. And I kind of ended up getting my hemming machine and jumping into the retail aspect of it a little too fast. But I'm starting to focus more back onto why I fell in love with it in the first place.
Right.
Which is the patchwork projects, the stitching projects, the embroideries, things like that.
So that's what brought you to it.
Yeah.
So did you just like get a Shopify and buy a bunch of stuff wholesale?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Just reached out to a lot of the connections I had from my time at Blue Owl and let them know I was going to start doing my own thing, and luckily they were on board.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you just called them directly and said, hey, I'm opening up a shop. Do you want to sell me some stuff at wholesale?
Yeah, and I made it clear that my intentions weren't to compete directly with
Blue Owl.
my old shop or other shops in the area. I wanted to differentiate myself somehow.
Where did you get the capital to do this?
Well, when I left Blue Owl, I ended up moving back in with my parents in Oregon.
Nice.
Yeah, and I got a few acting jobs, actually, on just like a local TV series up in Portland.
It was grim.
It was
Right.
grim.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was grim.
And so you used your Grimm money.
That ABC money.
You're kidding me. That's awesome.
Or NBC, one of the two.
So like, that's super cool. So you did a couple acting gigs and you made enough to just sort of set up shop.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
sort of set up shop is important because I was working out of my, essentially my parents' basement, which it kind of was, literally. And
that's
then
the dream.
then I got my own space in Portland, which is sort of like a workspace loft.
Where are you keeping your like inventory now?
Right now, since I'm back in Seattle, I do not have a storefront, so my apartment is where I just house my inventory.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so we talked a little bit about this before, but how's that going? How's online retail doing for you?
Oh, online retail is very cutthroat, especially in our niche that we're in. There really isn't a whole lot of retail stores in the United States that carry these products, simply because these brands aren't capable of mass producing. Because a lot of these brands manufacture in a way that's pre-industrial revolution. So most of their machines are like pre-World War II, so they really just don't have the capacity to mass produce this fabric or the manpower to cut and sew. So you don't see a lot of retailers carrying them. They're also not a mass market thing. They don't have wide appeal. It's a more classic customer versus a fast fashion, sort of like Instagram fashion customer.
Right. I see. It seems like it would lend itself well to smaller businesses because
It does.
Like, it's something that would not be able to be carried or widely distributed.
Yeah, you have to have knowledge in the industry to carry it, and you have to have a real passion for it, and if you don't, I feel like it really shows through.
What is the main challenge of running your online shop?
For online sales, period, it's managing expectations, customers about shipping times, shipping fees, returns. I would say that's the biggest obstacle.
Like they have too high expectations?
Yeah, it's just, I wouldn't say it's too high of expectations. They have, Amazon is, arguably the largest company in the world at this point in terms of retail.
Right, and that's what kind of people hold as the standard.
As the standard. They kind of expect everybody, if you're online, to play by the same Amazon rules, which is free shipping, free returns, free everything. But somebody who has basically no capital, who's just starting it as like a passion project, making it as professional as they can, it's really tough to compete that way. So you just have to be a little more stricter with your guidelines. And the way I kind of go around that is by coaching customers through their fits and providing the best customer service I can.
It seems like it's more high touch, more involvement with the customer.
Much more involvement.
Yeah.
24/7, I'm logged on answering emails.
All day, just
All day.
answering.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, all day.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's too much. I try to give myself one day, like Sundays, I'll try to give myself like the whole day away from the phone. But when I'm in bed, I'll just start going through emails and answering customers.
With emails and phone calls,
Mm-hmm.
what percentage of those interactions lead to sales?
It's pretty darn high. I would say if you know, and I would say probably 90% of the emails the customers I interact with end up purchasing.
Wow, that is super high.
It is really high, but I feel like if they're at the point where they're emailing, asking the question, they're already looking to purchase.
They just need
a little
extra.
Yeah, a little help off the edge.
That's
so to speak.
Right. That's it's interesting to me because I know from personal experience, email customer service is incredibly time consuming.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would venture to like steer away from it if it didn't yield so much.
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
If it didn't yield so much, I wouldn't. But at the same time, I really love talking to people about it.
Okay.
So when I'm not on answering emails, I'm on forums answering customers' questions there too.
Wow. What forums?
Just providing info. There was the Super Future, Super Denim was kind of the first forum that got me into it 10 years ago or so, a little bit over 10 years. That forum is slowed down a little bit. I feel like a lot of the old forum heads on there have kind of grown up a bit and left the forum. The Reddit r/raw denim is probably the biggest one right now.
And so you pop in, and if people have questions, you're a credible resource.
Yeah, and I'm lucky enough that, I've been on that forum when it first started.
Wow.
So I think I was number like 67 or somebody who joined that particular one who subscribed to it. There's over like 30,000 now. So it's gotten pretty big.
What is your online presence like? From like forums to Instagram, like are you pretty involved? Because it seems like you were there for the founding of a lot of these businesses and sites.
Pretty early on, yeah.
Yeah.
I was lucky. I'm pretty involved online, and I was before I was in the industry. And I thought I knew a lot about the industry, and I knew a lot about these brands and denim and period, until I started working in it and realized I didn't know anything.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was pretty vocal on it, and then I really had to scale back. I'm like, oh wow, I need to learn a lot more before I start talking now. If people are gonna like take what I say seriously.
Yeah. What's an example of that?
Really, just how like fabric tensions play such a factor. Fabric weights, dye recipes, because each brand will have like a different dye house they'll work with. They'll dye in different ways. Rope dyeing being the biggest one, how jeans fade, and I thought I knew like which mills were producing what fabrics, and that's where you get into the real nitty-gritty of it.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of misinformation.
In
the sphere, which also is maddening.
Yes.
Especially if you're trying to sell people stuff, and people on forums maybe were in like your position who had no idea what they were talking about.
But think they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can sympathize. I can sympathize totally. I understand that somebody's coming from a place they think they know a lot because they've read a lot, but what they're reading is what people like me now are posting, and that's where they get their information. So whenever I interject, I'll really only interject with what exactly I know is factual.
So the forum community sounds very like lively and strong in this niche.
Yeah. I think anytime you have a hobby that isn't necessarily mainstream, and you get a place like Reddit where people can come together and talk about it,
It's gonna blow up.
Yeah, you get a lot of people who really want to be involved.
How is your Instagram presence? Like how, I know that a lot of storefronts kind of lean on Instagram as a marketing tool, and I'm curious how it works for you.
How it worked for how we did it back in my old shop versus how I'm doing it with Wright Hand Twill.
You're talking about Blue Owl.
Blue Owl, yeah. The algorithms were a lot different back then. So we found it was very organic.
What year is this?
2013.
Okay.
And I feel that now you have to be a little less organic in your approach to acquire the same viewers who would tune in organically.
What do you mean by less organic approach?
It's a lot more, there's a lot more jobs and people who specialize in social media. I mean, every single day I get maybe 10 emails from influencers or
Right.
people who are claiming they know that trick the algorithms to get more followers. And I'm not really concerned with followers because this product is so specific that I don't really need 20,000 followers or 50,000 followers. I'm happy with however many I have because I know the people that are there just like truly like the content.
Yeah, you have almost 1,000. I
Yeah.
think when I checked.
Yeah, right around there.
So.
I don't trick the system. I just,
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even think you need to trick the system.
try
Ideally,
to.
it would all be organic.
Yeah. And
So do you
that's
find
what I believe in.
it's like, do you really need Instagram? Like, what does Instagram serve as a purpose for you?
I've looked at the analytics, and Instagram has not proven to do more than probably 3% of traffic.
How are they hearing about you then? Forum?
Probably the forum, yeah. Most of it is, I did a survey and just find out this exact question, and it was pretty split. It was about 50% word of mouth, and about almost 50% via the forums.
That's incredible.
Yeah, less than 1% through Instagram.
Wow.
Which I know a lot of people who use Instagram very successfully, and I'm just not one of those people.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
maybe doesn't translate as well maybe to your product.
I think it could. There's a lot of stores that do it really well.
Yeah. Division Road.
Division Road,
Yeah.
excellent. One of the best.
Yeah,
Some of the
full
best
disclosure,
yeah.
like we work for Division Road.
We do, yeah. Yes. Division Road, you would call the 9 to 5.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're doing Instagram really well.
Very well.
Blue Owl, I don't know how well they're doing on Instagram.
I think they do a great job. They have a lot of resources to throw at it. They have a sizable team now. It's still a small team, but I mean they have more than one person salary full time doing it. They have multiple. So I feel like when you have those resources to do at it, you better be doing a good creative
Right.
job.
What do you think needs to improve for your online business to maybe become your full time?
That's a good question. If I had the answer,
You'd be doing it.
I'd probably be doing it. Yeah.
So yeah, because that's what you want to do, and basically it comes down to making more sales online.
Yes, making more sales online for the retail aspect. But the direction I've been going in lately has been not pushing back retail, pushing back carrying similar brands, and focusing more on being a platform that independent designers and brands, just one-man shows or really small team operations that maybe don't have a platform or a place to sell their product, to be that platform for them.
That
to
is
sell their product.
a great idea.
That's the whole mission statement behind Wright Hand Twill, is being a platform for these designers to showcase their work, as well as a creative outlet for me to offer, like I said, customization services for clothing, alterations, and really to just have fun with it.
So you carry some of these independent creators currently?
Yes.
Yeah, and did you meet the majority of them through Blue Owl?
No, actually, the majority of the independent creators have been all through Wright Hand Twill.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the bigger brands that I've reached out to and have either thought about carried or did carry in the past or carry currently, those have been through Blue Owl, but almost all of the smaller ones have been through Wright Hand Twill.
How does that sounds like networking.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
You meet one person, they'll introduce you to, they'll talk about some other friends that you should, maybe have your eye on. And when you're in the clothing industry, it's a pretty small community
Right.
of people. So a lot of times they'll reach out to you as well. And you'll just kind of do a little research on them, talk to them for a while. If you like their work, put them on.
That seems surprisingly easy.
Yeah, the challenge is because they're so small, they don't have the margins to be able to wholesale. So it's finding a way around that that we can both basically eat at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Get a
What do
piece
you
of
mean
it.
they don't have the margins to wholesale?
So when a brand wholesales, they're largely depending on volume. And a really small brand, like a one-man operation, he's working out of his
Garage,
house.
right.
Like, he's working out of his garage, whatever. And he relies on 100%. Like, every price point is dialed in exactly because he knows
How
what
much
he
it
needs to pay
costs.
rent.
Right.
What he needs
Oh.
to pay for another bulk roll of fabric, which, there's minimums on fabrics. If you want a custom fabric, sometimes it's up to $20,000 for a custom roll. I mean, it can go on and on.
So they're pricing you said they don't have the margin.
They don't have the ability to
Price their product
in a way
high enough
Mhm.
to pay themselves.
to pay themselves if they were to have a retailer carry it. So their margins are just at the point where they're supporting themselves, not a retailer as well.
So
Because there's markups from the maker to the retail to the
So
end product.
So what I'm trying to understand is that
yeah.
so you as a retailer are going to add an additional cost.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would have to basically raise their price, but I don't really think that's fair. So we're working on different ways to get around that.
Got it. So you
Yeah.
kind of want to be the shop for still direct to consumer
Mm-hmm.
with perhaps not the like 100% retail
Exactly.
margin
Yeah.
that people traditionally do.
Yeah. And a lot of these, like for a Macy's or something, a brand that they have, a lot of times their markups will be 300 to 400%.
Right.
Because these brands are priced to go on sale. So when you go on sale, you're making a basically 100% markup when it's however 70% off or 50% off that these big department stores have.
Right.
Or they'll just be comfortable taking a loss on it. Whereas these smaller guys, they don't even have a 50% margin for these brands.
Right.
So it's a pretty tricky battle for them to stay afloat and then a small retailer to stay afloat. So it's just trying to find creative ways that we could all be happy at the end of the day, basically.
How is the demand for things that are like made by these independent creators? Is there a lot of demand for it, or is it just for like collectors or enthusiasts?
It's for enthusiasts.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like it should be for everyone, but until there's a learning curve that I feel like some people need to go through. Instagram is how a lot of people find out these brands. It's been a great catalyst for these small independent makers to showcase their work. So I feel like once they build an audience and they want a little help selling their stuff and they want to have like a retail presence, I'm there for them.
Are there any brands that you follow or are interested in that kind of are doing what you are doing?
I haven't seen any stores doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
No. In terms of like the patchwork and sashiko stitching and custom embroidery that I'm gonna be, I don't know when this is going up,
Mm-hmm.
but
This is like in the works.
yeah. In the next couple of weeks, we're rolling out a whole new part of the website. That's going to be a whole customization option for
That's
your
cool. That no one else is doing it.
That no one else is doing.
But it's also hard because then you have no one to model your
Yeah,
your
yeah.
business after.
Yeah, it's a learning curve for sure. I'm not scared of it. It's
Uh-huh.
The whole point is just, like I said, to have fun, but offer something that I think is competitive and professional enough to put out there.
What brands that either you carry or follow are you a fan of?
So I've been working with this German denim maker. He's out of Dresden, Germany. His brand is called Rutloff Garments. And we've been working on fit together for the better part of a year. And in a couple weeks, it's going to be arriving. So really excited
Nice.
about that.
That's really so. You've been like messaging this guy in Germany. Did he reach out to you?
Yeah, we FaceTime. We message.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's something that's incredibly cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite part about this.
Right. There's the collaboration
The
and being able to
collaboration.
work with anyone, and so you're just dialing in the kind of fit that you want to bring into the shop.
Yeah, bringing in a fit that's unique to us. It's a little bit of a throwback fit with a modern twist. That's our time.
We got 5 minutes. Yeah, that's my alert.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we're bringing in this fit, and he got some new fabric. He just went to Japan, went to this really small boutique mill, picked up some custom fabrics, and I liked his stuff. I actually heard about it through word of mouth, and I read about him in an article because he was in a museum in Germany as what was modeled as denim as art, and it was his pair. And I was reading about it through this museum's catalog, not catalog, but this museum's magazine. And I was like, I got to get in touch with this guy. I love what he's doing, and just talk to him. So I did. I reached out, and we were talking for about a year, and then I just threw it out there. I'm like, hey, would you want to work together?
Collab, yeah.
And he's just like, dude, I'd love that.
That's
So it worked
super
out.
cool. Yeah. And so what I'm realizing is word of mouth is tremendous, and also this like direct email communication is doing a load more than social media stuff.
For me.
Yeah, for
me.
you specifically. I know it's not the same, but I think it's
yeah.
interesting for your sphere specifically that it's almost all like kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and I think that the more authentic you are to yourself and your customers, that should translate to customers being able to trust the product you carry, and I think that's big.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for talking with us today.
My pleasure.
Good luck, and check
Thanks,
out
sir.
Right Hand Twill. Yeah, we'll shake hands. This has been The Orbit, and we'll see you next week or around that.